into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 won't you let the light shine through? In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 for you.
Hello everybody and welcome into the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series live tonight with the season opener at the World Center of Racing. It's Daytona International Speedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Well, drivers have gotten qualifying complete. The biggest race of the season getting ready to get underway. Let's get right into it as we get down trackside and get things started tonight with your starting grid. Taking the pole for Noma Motorsports is going to be Kenneth Redinger. Haas Beverly to his outside in second. How about Keith Prince? He'll start in row 2 tonight alongside Matthew Fritz. Justin Parham back in 5th with Joey Hickok 6th. Michael Mueller in 7th with Michael Newman in 8th. It's going to be Charles Van Schaik in 9th and Jesse Calloway rounding out your top 10. Back in row number 6, it's the 87 of Joe Yakes alongside the 53 of Bill Hales. Kevin Winker, Brody Venti make up row number 7. Roger Strickland, Clinton Woodby in row number 8. David Traylor, last season's champion, he starts in 17th here tonight with Jonathan Dominics in 18th. Jonathan Herbert 19th, and John Shilino, he makes a return this season as he starts tonight in 20th. Eric Hegdahl will roll off 21st. Colton Hardy to his outside in 22nd. And you've got Mark Beverly back in 23rd with Dylan Paws to his outside in 24th. Thomas Melnick in 25th, Tyler Beverly in 26th, and it's the Canadian driver of Rick LePage rounding out your field in 27. Taking a look at the race info here tonight, it's the Winnie Bay 275. Again, we are in the Xfinity car this season. That is the big change from last year. 110 laps to distance here tonight around Daytona International Speedway, 95% fuel, 4 sets of tires, 1 fast pair of fixed setups, and then as always, 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Daytona International Speedway, known as the World Center of Racing, and if you win here, your name is going to go down in the books for the rest of the season. 2.5 miles in length, over 30 degrees of banking in the corners, well over 190 miles an hour down the straights, and a lot of pushing and shoving. 70 degrees going to be the starting track temp here tonight. 68, the weather outside, 58% humidity, clear skies, and winds at 4 miles an hour, not going to be a factor. And then I guess the other question would be in terms of sim time here, where we're starting at. Looks like it is going to be about 6 o'clock, 6:30 rather, sim time here. And then for the date, looks like they've got it on February. So this race could potentially go into the night here. I'm not sure if we'll make it quite that far, but it's almost kind of looking like right now the lights might already starting to be coming on. Yes, sure enough, they are. So we are at sunset. So as this race continues to transition into the night, that's going to get interesting in terms of, we know the speeds will pick up, the grip's going to pick up as well. And I think that's when maybe the racing will have a tendency to get a little bit more chaotic as well. But 110 laps, a long ways to go. Now, there is a stage break at the end of lap 20 that'll give everybody a chance to kind of come down the pits, get fuel reset, and then that'll give us a restart with somewhere around 85 laps to go. Well, if you're tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. Hope that you're having a good Friday night, Friday evening, whichever part of the country you may live in. And we have got a good one. What a way to kick off the season. At the best track in racing with the best drivers in the sim. Pace truck makes the left turn. Into the restart zone we go. Green flag is in the air. We're underway at Daytona. Lap 1 is in the books, and it goes to the 20 of Kenneth Redinger. Look at all the NOMA cars at the front right now. That's one of the new teams formed up this season, and they brought quite a few heavy hitters. Keith Prince, you see right now as he stands in second, doing a lot of pushing for his teammate Kenneth Redinger. Justin Parham sits back in third for NOMA Motorsports. And then Haas Beverly, the first non-NOMA driver up here in the top 5. He looked very, very good in qualifying here tonight. Got that 6th place starting spot, and he's took advantage so far as he's already got himself up 2. And now inside the top 5. A little bit of blinking going on right now for the 31 of Joey Hickox, who runs third on the inside. And in fact, that is 4 NOMA Motorsports cars now all lined up on the bottom. And that is going to be a tough group. Remember, those guys have their own super speedway league, so they're going to be dangerous at pretty much every track we go to if it's greater than 2 miles. Kenneth Redinger, of course, we know he's won championships in NOMA, but hasn't got one yet in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series. We'll see if that can change this season. And then the man that everybody's going to have their eye on, not just tonight, but for the rest of the season, is David Traylor. Remember, he got the job done last season, got a win, and was finally able to get himself into the playoffs. After that, he found victory lane in the race that mattered most, and that was the championship at Kansas. As it stands right now, he currently sits in 15th. He's up a couple from where he started this race at. Still a lot of work to be done here. Only 3 laps complete. And again, right now, you wouldn't expect anybody to do anything too aggressive. I mean, it is early. I feel like maybe once we get halfway through the stage here, right around lap 10, maybe things pick up a little bit. And you do have that fast repair, so you don't have to be super conservative, although you don't want to necessarily have to use that too early. I mean, 110 laps is a long way to go, and if you have a damaged race car on lap 20, it's going to be 80, 85 laps that you got to run just trying to keep up with the field instead of having a chance to be able to actually race around. Further back, this second pack that's developed, they are getting a little bit racier. Jonathan Herbert is right in the middle of all of it. And right now, he does not have a team this season. That was one of the drivers I was surprised to see go teamless when things were getting set up, but the driver, the number 88, looking to see if maybe he can make a statement for himself. We know that he's been on the money racing scene, so he's been getting a lot of super speedway practice. We'll see how it pays off here tonight. Even further back in the field we go. Dylan Paws, good to see him returning this season. Thomas Melnick, trouble early for the 00 as he has not made it out on the racetrack, it appears. And then one of the fan favorites, and again, another one of the super speedway favorites, Kevin Winker. He currently sits in 7th right now in that 42 car. And he continues to try to work his way to the front of the field. He's just on the outside there. That's the 25 Brody Benty in the Raising Cane's machine. But it is still all four of the Noma Motorsports drivers lined up. 1, 2, 3. The outside, though, as they drag race down the super stretch. Does Haas Beverly have enough to get clear here? No, he doesn't. And so they'll stay 2 by 2 as they work off into turn number 3. And for Joey Hickox here, you can see that gap that's kind of forming. And I wonder if part of that is the blinking issues he's having right here. You've seen him kind of bounce in and out a couple times, and that can break up a draft pretty quick. And if you're the teammate running behind Joey Hickox, in this case, Matthew Fritz, you're seeing that saying, I think I'll go ahead and stay just a little bit further back. But now it looks like they're going to start to get grouped back together here. And the 12 up top, Michael Newman, he's been doing a lot of pushing, but so far he has not been able to get Haas Beverly clear just yet. And at some point, you got to wonder if temps start to become an issue here. Once you push for a while, those cars, they can start to get hot. I mean, you can lock bumpers here in this series. There's no rules against that. But as a kind of a byproduct of that, like right here, look at the push. This is going to work, though. He's going to get Haas Beverly clear. Might get himself clear. Michael Newman with the best push of the race so far. And that'll push Haas Beverly right out in front. He takes over the point here at Daytona with just 6 laps complete. And as they cross the line to take lap 7, you can see this pack starting to tighten up just a little bit more now. Things don't really single file out until we get right around the 53 here of Bill Hales. He's no stranger to victory lane here at Daytona. David Traylor currently sits in 20th right now, down 3 from where he started. Charles Van Schaik, Joe Yakes, Rick LePage, Eric Hegdahl. All these guys, I think this is part of a plan here to just sit around, take it easy, not necessarily push the pace just yet. As again, realistically, we're not even halfway through stage 1 just yet. And 3 wide up front now. Michael Newman maybe with a bit of a mistake here. 12 gets split. Kevin Winker is going to go to the point on the outside with a push from Brody Benty. And these two certainly working really good together right now. Part of the reason for that is because they are teammates this season. So with the 25 and the 42 now being lined up, it starts to put a little bit of power against that Noma, not necessarily just trio, but all 4 of them that were lined up as Haas Beverly is kind of cutting off their momentum now as he continues to run on the bottom of the racetrack. Down into turn 1. Beverly, you see kind of right there. Boy, he almost got into Kevin Winker, and I think part of that was, we talk about this a lot if you ever watch any of the other broadcasts that we do at Super Speedways. And these Xfinity cars, they're very different than a lot of the other series and much different from the trucks that you drive around this place where you almost got to kind of stance this car as you get into the corner. We'll go on board here with Haas Beverly. You don't want to wait till you get into the corner and then try to jerk the wheel left. That causes issues. You either get a little bit tight, get up the track, or sometimes you make too aggressive of a wheel movement, the back end snaps around, and we can see issues. That's usually more of a hot track temp kind of situation, though. Not necessarily something we would expect to see in the nighttime here as this race is in. But the point is, you got to be really careful with these cars getting into the corners, especially as tires wear out. And right now, that inside seems to be the place to be. The outside's had a couple of runs, but since getting the 22 of Haas Beverly clear, nobody else has really had much of a shot at trying to do so. And there you go, Redinger. He got clear. I was wondering if he'd jump up, ditch his teammates to go for the lead. That's exactly what he's going to do. And he's getting pushed big time right here from Kevin Winker. That's one of the guys that you want behind you if you're trying to get to the front. And look at that. Up and back down for Kenneth Redinger. He will take the lead back as the 22 of Haas Beverly shuffles to second, and that will separate those 4 Noma teammates that were together, but they still have 3 of them together, and all 4 of them still inside the top 10. On the outside, how about the 97 of Colton Hardy? He has now made his way up to the front. Currently sits in 3rd on the outside lane. Jonathan Herbert just behind him, and the 45 as well. Good run going early here for Tyler Beverly. Not sure if we'll see Tyler run the entire season or not. I know last season it kind of switched over to more of a part-time schedule for him as the season went on, but always good to see him out here having a good run as he is so far tonight. And again, nobody has dared to take it 3 wide yet, and I mean, for what it's worth, you can kind of see just from that view, there's not a whole lot of room to work with here at Daytona, at least not the same way there is at Talladega where you can go 3-4 wide without any issues. 2 wide here is pretty normal. 3 wide, things start to get a little bit tight. 4 wide, it's not going to work. It's going to end up in a wreck. So we'll see if drivers are able to avoid that here tonight. But as they cross the line, 11 of 110 laps complete. Kenneth Redinger has led the most so far. Kevin Winker still on the outside, but look at this. Haas Beverly's now going to take a look back to the top. He'll jump in front of Kevin Winker as they work off into turn number 1. This is going to take this lane a minute to get the momentum up. Can the Noma boys respond on the bottom? Nothing doing just yet. Here we go onto the super stretch. This is where all the momentum can be made for that outside. You've got to be locked on in tandem from pretty much the exit of turn 2, all the way to the entry of turn 3 if you want a shot of getting that car in front of you clear. But in this case, if you're Brody Benty, the question is, are you kind of willing to risk trying to do a 3-car tandem this early on? I think the 25 is a little bit smarter than that. He's thinking to himself right now, it's early. I'm okay with just sitting behind my teammate. Maybe if the 22 gets clear, I'll try to push Winker out in front, but certainly doesn't want to put anybody in a bad spot right now. As the further back we go, you can see where this pack breaks off into that single file action right now, being led by the 3 of Keith Prince, Bill Hales, the 92 of Clinton Woodby, David Traylor, Charles Van Schaik, Joe Yates, Rick LePage, Eric Hegdahl, Dylan Paz, Roger Strickland, and then Thomas Melnick, who we talked about, unfortunately with issues early, brought his race to an end. And sometimes when you see this, you wonder if maybe they're saving fuel back there, but that really wouldn't make sense because, again, everybody's plenty good to go. 95% fuel, and these cars can take you pretty close to lap 40, so we're not going to see any pit stops here on this first stage. Wouldn't be until that second stage where that would be a potential concern as, man, you saw Joey Hickox with another blink right there, and I think this is making that top lane a little bit antsy, a little bit nervous, seeing all that bobbing and weaving going on in the bottom lane when the 31 blinks around, but nothing he can do as his teammate Matthew Fritsch just continues to give him room, hoping that it'll sort itself out here eventually. Still 2x2 here with 13 of 110 laps complete. And this race in general a little bit longer than it was last season, as are a lot of the races we're going to see this season. This one only 10 laps is there you go. Yeah, Joey Hickox, I don't know if his teammates told him or if he just kind of had enough, but he's going to go to the back here with that issue to see if it'll sort out before he tries to get back up towards the front. And he'll get passed by just about everybody here. He's going to go all the way to the back of this train. So he'll try to jump in behind the 87 of Joe Yates. That's going to hand that position off to his teammate Matthew Fritz, who moves up to third on that inside line. Colton Hardy found a way down to the bottom. He now sits in fourth. And then the 77, that's a good-looking scheme for Michael Miller as he's made his way up here and is going to be looking to see if he can contend for some stage points right here. As we zoom in on the paint scheme for that 77, it's got the nice pink, yellow, and orange colors. And that Toyota Supra, as he runs on the inside right now of Tyler Beverly in that 45. I think Tyler Beverly's running a little bit of a throwback scheme, if you will, to Smokey and the Bandit. On the front of that car, it's a good-looking scheme either way. And up front, Haas Beverly at this point still not able to get clear. And you almost wonder if he does he take it and just stay down there the rest of the way? I mean, we're going to be coming to 6 laps to go in the stage right here. So I think this is a good time to potentially drop down and not have to worry about going back up. And Kevin Winker, you can see he's pushing him for just about all he's worth here. He's trying everything to get that 22 clear. Unfortunately, he's just not quite been able to do it yet. They'll try to send him off here again into turn 1, but it's just not going to happen. The Noma Group lines up very well on the bottom still, and just not enough pushing out back. Still no third lane to develop, at least not as of yet, as we go back to the 94 of Jonathan Dominics running the FedEx Toyota Supra scheme here tonight. And that single file action, a couple of them now decided to dice it up just a little bit as Joe Yates in the middle. This is the first 3 wide that we've seen here tonight in the 87 in the middle of John Shilino and Jonathan Dominics. And now Mark Beverly's going to have a choice. Does he try to throw a block on the 87? He will not. Joe Yates is going to continue his charge up to the middle here until somebody stops. And uh-oh, trouble in the 94. Is he going to go around? Yes, he does. Jonathan Dominics, he saves it. Oh, hold on to it here. He's got to merge back up, and he does. Wow, what a save from Jonathan Dominics. And that was almost big trouble early for the Canadian driver. So let's back this up here and see what happens. And that was just Joe Yates. I mean, we talked about 3 wide. There's not a lot of room to work here, and I think they just kind of ran out of room here. Question is, who runs into who? Watch as they wash up a little bit here, and then I think the 94 of Jonathan Dominics is going to go down, maybe bump the apron. No, he doesn't. Just tight race, and Joe Yates maybe comes down just a little bit. Slight contact, and then the 94's got to make a big save here as he starts to work back up. He gets into the 87 again, or at least maybe some net code that would have been contact either way, and then as he gets down the racetrack here, man, that was a big-time save. So unfortunately, though, that save did result in him losing the pack. He'll need a caution, which he's got one scheduled here in just about 4 laps from now, so he should be able to hold on. Which is 17 of 110 laps now complete. Haas Beverly leads that outside line still. On the inside, it is Kenneth Redinger in the 20. Still nobody has dared to try to make a third lane work yet. I look further back to the 88 of Jonathan Herbert, the 45 of Tyler Beverly. How about Michael Newman? Even Mark Beverly. What a race that he had in the Noma Truck Series last week. You wonder if he's taking that momentum here into this week with the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. Again, I know it's a different car, but these leagues run very close to each other in terms of the amount of drivers and the same kinds of drivers. But still 2x2 when they cross the line this time. It's going to be officially 3 laps to go in Stage 1. Haas Beverly led that lap. But Kevin Winker, I just don't know if he's got enough in the tank to necessarily push this 22 as much as he would probably like to right now. Colton Hardy kind of trapped in the middle of this. He doesn't really have anywhere to go, and you can see he is working right now in the driver cam, just trying to make sure he keeps a steady wheel. Sticks behind this 27, but he doesn't want to push him. And you know he's ready in case these guys get too feisty on this last lap. Maybe we see a big wreck, and he's going to have to make some evasive maneuvering. Down the Daytona Super Stretch they go. Back into turn number 3, the 20 of Redinger. Oh, contact. Hold on to it. The 19 of Parham trying to save it. Will he? Yes, he does. Another really close call over here. In turn 3 and 4, we had one just a few laps ago with Jonathan Dominics. This time, Fritz got all out of shape right there trying to push the 19 of Parham, which looked like got Redinger out of shape. They get grouped back up, but that's what Beverly needed. He'll get pushed clear. He'll drop down. Well, maybe he won't. I thought he was, but he's going to stay up in front of the 42, and we'll see how things pan out, but that might cost this 22 the stage. I thought that was a great time to jump down to the bottom of the racetrack, but he decided to stay up, and I don't know if Winker's got enough to push him back up front. He's certainly going to try it as the 42 gets him a little offset. Now he's got to realign. You can see if he tries to offset him at all, he tries to do it on the right side. Don't want to get offset on the left. Now he's got to cool down a little bit in the corner. This will pull at least 1, maybe 2 of the Noma Motorsports teammates clear. Parham will not get clear. And this is going to be coming to 1 lap to go on the stage. They're starting to really fishtail around now. Who is going to get back to the green and white checkered first? And, caution is out. And I forgot these guys actually do it on the lap, contrary to the end of the lap. And so that would be why we saw them dicing it up as much as they did there towards the end of that stage. So this is a scheduled caution. And it looks like your stage winner is going to be Kenneth Redinger for Noma Motorsports. Parham brings home, looks like second for now, although we'll go back to this finish and see if we can get that confirmed. It was really close here. The battle for who got second right here at the line. Here's Haas Beverly. He's got a bit of a run. Yeah, no, it's going to be Haas Beverly here. Actually draws back even. Almost gets back to the 20, but just runs out of room, runs out of time, and going back to that move where, like I said, maybe he should have jumped down, but chose to stay up, and seems like it works out overall either way. And now everybody's going to come down to the pits to take their first set of tires, fill it up with gas, and as they do that, we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we'll get an interview with your Stage 1 winner. Stick with us here at Daytona.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. You see the 3 driver cams on the bottom right. David Traylor, Clinton Woodby, we didn't actually have a chance to show just yet, and Colton Hardy. There's Clinton Woodby, though, by the way, who so far here tonight, maybe not the run everybody was expecting, currently still sitting outside the top 15, 16th to be exact, and right now for Clinton Woodby, still driving the 92, but still a lot of work to be done here tonight. We'll see if he can get back to the front. All right, well, before we get back going green here, let's see if we can get a quick word with your Stage 1 winner for Noma Motorsports. It's Kenneth Redinger. Kenneth, this is Austin up at the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you got the job done there in stage number 1. How'd the car feel out there, and how'd you feel about the racing we've seen so far?
The car feels pretty good. I don't know what's going on. It's like every time I get pushed, it seems to push the car around easily, no matter how hard you get bumped. I don't know what's going on with that, but other than that, it seems pretty good.
Well, stage 1, relatively short, at least compared to how long we're getting ready to go here for the final stage. How is the mindset going to shift here as we're going to have about 85 laps or so to go as we go back green right here?
Just looking for my teammates. It's going to be the game here to try to beat these guys, is make sure we're all up here helping each other and just looking for their bumper.
Sounds like a pretty good game plan. Well, hey, Kenneth, we appreciate you talking to us again. Congrats on the first stage win of the season, and we'll see if we're talking to you again at the end of this race.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Kenneth Redinger, stage 1 winner. And yeah, you know, what he said, I think that's interesting because that's kind of what it looked like, especially in those closing laps when push started to come to shove, where the pushes didn't look that aggressive, but it seemed like every time they made contact, the driver getting pushed just got really out of shape and really loose. But it seems like, at least for now, that things should calm down here a bit, at least at the start here, as again, this is a long stage, especially compared to what we just saw there for stage number 1, which was only 20 laps. Going to go back green here with still, you figure, over 80 laps to go in this race, so it's going to be at least a 2-stopper. Can't make it on just one. Could probably make it to, if I had to guess, maybe around 30, 38 laps on fuel in a 1-stop. So these guys will have to pit at least twice if it goes green the entire way, but it's Daytona, so we all know that that's probably not going to happen here. The question then becomes, when is the timing of that caution? When do you get it, and how does that affect the strategies that are already in play? It's 25 of Brody Benty, and the 27 of Matthew Fritz will lead us back into the Geico restart zone. The final stage here at Daytona is underway. Green flag is back in the air, and it's a good restart from Brody Benty and Kevin Winker. They get out to a big jump. Watch for the 42 to maybe switch high here. And this is a decision he has to make. Does he want to stick with his teammate, or do they want to try to split and control both of these lanes? Looks like they're going to go with split and control as the 42 of Winker rolls now to the high side. Matthew Fritz, Justin Parham, not much of a choice here. All they can do is push for now. They could split 3 wide, although I feel like it'd be too early. Watch for them to try to push this 42, though, of Kevin Winker clear as they rock it down the super stretch. Not going to happen there. Inside, a little bit more disorganized, though, now as the 22 of Haas Beverly has fallen back. And he's waiting for help from the cavalry. The 4 tried to get there. Was looking for a push from Jesse Calloway, but that inside is still struggling here. The outside seems to be lined up okay, but they just cannot get more than those front 2 tandemed up right now on the bottom, and that's going to hurt them here if they stay that way for too long. Haas Beverly needs to try to tighten it back up a little bit. And again, from what we know, at least here in terms of fuel numbers, there's really no strategy, no way that fuel strategy works out here, because again, you can't make it 40 laps, and we've still got over 80 laps. So trying to save enough, at least at this track, to make it on a 1-stop, it's just unreasonable, and realistically, it's probably impossible. As we take a look at the dashboard speeds right here, down the super stretch they go. 190 for Haas Beverly up front, though, while the pushing is 192 for Kevin Winker. He's going to hit 193 just before he works down into turn number 3. And then that car slows back down just a little bit as it starts to load into the banking, down to about 188, 87 miles an hour. But man, right now, Brody Benty, how about this? I mean, it did not take him long to get adjusted. You feel like if you asked the 25 what a goal for the season would be, it would be to come out and lead laps like this early in the season, try to build some momentum for when it matters most later on in the season, and he's doing just that right now. And the reason he's been staying up here right now, at least, is Kenneth Redinger. I'm really impressed at how well this inside's doing, all things considered, I guess I should say how well Kenneth Redinger's doing, because besides him, there's not much of an inside lane right now. Brody Benty is solely being pushed to the lead by that 20 car. Not sure how long that's going to last, though, as the 42, Kevin Winker, gets another big push. Thought maybe it was enough to get clear, but it looks like it is not. Off into turn 3 they go. Not a lot of side drafting going on either right now. As they continue to stay 2x2 up front, we turn our attention further back here, where Joey Hickox, one of the Noma Motorsports drivers who had been having a great night, had a little bit of blinking issues, and I don't know if he went to reset something or what happened, but he has since fallen 2 laps down. Puts him in 26, just in front of Thomas Melnick, who again did not make the start of this race. Roger Strickland, he currently sits in 25th in the 52 machine. How about the 10 of Dylan Paz, just behind Charles Van Schaik? You got Rick LePage in 22nd, Mark Beverly in 21st, Eric Hegdahl in 20th with David Traylor in 19th, and this Clinton Woodby in 18th, Bill Hales in 17th, Tyler Beverly in 16th with John Shilino in 15th, Keith Prince 13th, Michael Newman in 12th, Jonathan Dominics in, trouble, big hit, huge hit, one up in the air, more contact, wrecking up front. That's one of the Noma Motorsports drivers. I believe that's Matthew Fritz. Yes, it is. David Traylor's involved. Excuse me, actually, I think that was the 94 of Jonathan Dominics. Yes, it was. We've got hoods, bumper covers everywhere. Looks like Traylor actually makes it through. But man, for Matthew Fritz, again, I believe that was Fritz, unless, no, it wasn't. It was Kenneth Redinger, the 20 who it looked like we saw that got torn up the worst in that wreck. Well, boy, this is something that started at the front where all that pushing was going on at. Let's back it up here and see if we can figure it out. Watch the 20 of Redinger here. This is going off into turn 3 as somebody went 3 wide here. That was Jonathan Herbert as Redinger takes the point here. In fact, let's go back to the cockpit view first here. Redinger's up front. Big run on the outside. Herbert's coming through the middle. 27 goes to make a move. 19 goes to make a move. And, he just gets right hooked. He was the innocent victim in that one. Man, that's a big hit. It destroys that car, but watch this again here. Does Herbert just hook him, or does he kind of get squeezed down? Watch it from the chopper view again. Right in the middle of your screen here. Do they get 4 wide? No, they stay 3, but they're borderline going 4. And in the case of the 77 here, that's Michael Miller, by the way. Does he move down here? I believe he does just a little bit. All right, so at this point, Herbert's there. Herbert is there. And yeah, the 77 just kind of squeezes down, not clear. And that turns the 77 into the 20 of Redinger, who's going to get right hooked into this outside wall. Watch this hit. Bam. Big shot into the outside safer barrier. Almost gets into the catch fence. And then as everybody else slides in with nowhere to go, part of it's kind of the nature of the beast here at Daytona. Give you a couple more angles of this one here. First look from the turn 3 entry view. That's a big, big hit for Kenneth Redinger. That's one of the worst wrecks we've seen here in a little while. And good news is he does have that fast repair. So he will go ahead and take that, and he should be able to return back out on the racetrack. But I was trying to figure out more or less if we had anybody that snuck through this one. A couple drivers were able to check up and miss the brunt of it. Haas Beverly, I think, sneaks through okay. Colton Hardy, though, he gets some pretty significant damage. The 87 of Yakes, I think he misses this on the inside, as does Michael Newman. Fortunately, the 3 of Keith Prince, the 33 of John Shilino, and the 45 of Tyler Beverly, all not quite as lucky. So let's go hop on an onboard view here with Michael Newman through this wreck, as he had a pretty crazy view, and lucky for him, it was a view that he liked to see because he didn't hit anything. Sees him get turned down, dives low, stays in throttle. Ooh, didn't see that second part of the wreck. Does the 4 save it? Oh, man. Oh, my goodness, was that close for Michael Newman. I think he just avoids contact there at the last second. Boy, you know, that made his heart probably skip a beat, as I want to go look at one more angle of this impact here for Kenneth Redinger, and the damage it did to this race car is, there's the hook, there's the contact, gets up in the air, and then he gets tagged while he starts to kind of get up in the air, and so it really propels him up. And actually, I think the back of that race car did clip the fence before he lands back down here and gets pirouetted a few more times. So as we go back live, this caution changes up fuel strategy a little bit now, because now it's going to be just under 80 laps to go. Actually, it might be exactly 80 laps to go once we go back green. And what that means is that if you can stretch it to 40 laps, you could make this race on a one-stop. And of course, again, that's assuming it goes green the whole way, which realistically we know probably isn't going to happen. But as a driver, especially when things aren't necessarily too aggressive, you still got to plan for it just in case it does. Up front, Matthew Fritz leads the way. Justin Parham second. Winker still in third. Haas Beverly fourth. Michael Newman again is rounding out your top 5 for now. Bill Hales, he's now broken back into the top 10. He sits in 6th. Roger Strickland in 7th with Mark Beverly in 8th. Charles Van Schaik in 9th. Clinton Woodby is actually going to take that spot as Van Schaik went to pit, so Woodby moves to 9th, and then Joe Yakes currently rounding out your top 30. Did we get the one-to-go signal? Yes, we did. Lights are off on the pace trucks. That means we will be going back green this next time around. And again, if you're just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. See a couple people rooting on Kevin Winker here tonight, a couple people rooting on Turn 4 Racing, and then a couple rooting on Noma Motorsports. And it was a great start for Noma Motorsports. Unfortunately, though, one of their drivers with issues with internet earlier, technical difficulties if you want to call it, and then now another one of their drivers in Kenneth Redinger involved in that last wreck. That has now left just 2 of them up front, as Hickox and Redinger, they've got a lot of work to do here if they want to get back to the front. That's Michael Miller, who you see still sitting in the pits as Joey Hickox is trying to catch back up to the field right here. It looks like he'll be able to do so as they're going to catch the pack here right about on the back stretch. Mark Beverly, Joe Yakes, they're lined up on the outside as well. And this was one of those pit sequences where I would not be shocked if there was quite a few drivers that decided to go in and top off. Again, it's going to be close. I don't know if they can quite make it on one stop from here. It will be exactly 80 laps to go when they go back green. So you're going to have to stretch it to at least 40. We'll have to find out who can make it the distance. And if you don't think you're good to go, then kind of on the flip side of that coin is just get aggressive here right out of the gate on this restart. Try to push the pace so that people can't save as much. But again, if you are trying to save, you're going to have to stick in the draft here, probably somewhere in the middle portions of this pack, and just ride around for now, especially after seeing that last wreck early, which I don't think a lot of drivers necessarily expected with how calm things seemed. I guess I should say relatively calm up front, but unfortunately, things did not end too well for quite a few drivers in that wreck. All of them that needed to took their fast repair. A couple, though, without it now are going to have to be extra careful here for the rest of this race. Pace truck back down to the pits, and here we go. 2 of the Noma Motorsports boys, Matthew Fritz, Justin Parham, back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air, and it's a good restart this time from both cars on the front row. Looks like the 27, though, gets out to a little bit of a better jump. Kevin Winker maybe thought about trying to make a move if he gets clear here, but I don't think it's going to happen right now. He pushes Matthew Fritz off into turn 1. Will Fritz stay low? Yes, he does. That's going to pull the 42 and the 12 right back up to his back bumper. Meanwhile, up top, the 22 Haas Beverly, one of his first chances to try to do some pushing here tonight. We'll see what he can do. Winker is trying everything in his power here to get clear of Parham to make that move up. Can't do it, and now Justin Parham wiggles around just a little bit after getting pushed. Now the inside lane, Matthew Fritz, he wiggles around just a little bit as they had rocketed down the super stretch. Oh, one on the apron, hold on to it. Kevin Winker, he got out of line there just briefly. That was another big save. If that wreck would have unfolded where it did, that one would have been huge happening here at the front of the field, but another really good save. One of the best drivers in the series. 32 of 110 laps complete. Kevin Winker still trying everything he can to push this 27 clear to see if he could jump up. It's not happening yet. And you know what I think is interesting, and again, this is another point I kind of want to make for if anybody watching has watched any of the other broadcasts I do at super speedways, a lot of times we'll see the guy that leads the race, they control lanes. They'll do a lot of up and down to make sure that both lanes stay cool and that they can stay up front, because if one guy overheats, the other lane's going to go ahead and go by. So I'm kind of surprised to a degree, especially with the teammate up top, that the 27 of Fritz has not tried to control, and Winker might have been getting hot because he decided to bail as he moves to the top, and this could potentially bury the 27, but not for long because his teammate Justin Parham, the 19, is going to jump down, and as he runs the apron here through the tri-oval, he will lead yet another lap here tonight. Further back, Brody Benty, you saw him shoot to the top of the racetrack just in front of the 88 of Jonathan Herbert, and then further back, kind of the second pack right now, there's the 20 of Kenneth Redinger. He continues to try to work his way back to the front. And there's Clinton Woodby in the 14. Colton Hardy, or Clinton Woodby in the 92, sits in 14th. And you've got Colton Hardy back in 15th. And this second group, I think they're just trying to kind of keep their distance here and keep a little spread between each other in case they wreck again up front. Although there's not necessarily that many cars in this lead pack right now, and looks like there is going to be a lapper here relatively shortly. That's going to be, looks like the 77 of Michael Miller, who just crossed the start-finish line as the leaders are just now entering the tri-oval. And then the next car after that would be in danger of going lap down here is the 54 of David Traylor. So he's got the J.C. Newman Cigar Company logo on there, and I'm not sure, I don't think he got any damage, so I'm not sure what really got him set back like this, but he's probably hoping for a caution here at some point before this race is all said and done, and probably preferably here before he loses a lap so that he can try to get back in this thing. Still 2x2 up front, but Haas Beverly has now taken the lead. He continues to hold on as Justin Parham stuck on the inside. Kevin Winker in the 42 now leads the top with help from Bill Hales and Mark Beverly. Boy, where did the driver of the 55 come from? He was sitting back a little bit earlier, but he must have decided that it was go time as he has now made up 18 positions from where he started this race at. That was another big bobble you just saw right there on the inside from Haas Beverly. And man, I'm telling you, as a driver, this is making me more and more nervous every single time that I see it. Oh, man, that's another one. And boy, the 22, he almost lost it right there and it got into the outside line. And man, Parham's not even pushing him that hard for some reason, though. The 22 car is just not taking those pushes really well. I'm not sure if it's something with the recent update or what the deal is, but let's hop back on board here with Justin Parham here and see if we can maybe catch another one of these pushes here that seems to be getting that 22 so out of shape. Parham nice and steady through the corner. Make sure to stay just off of him, but at the same time close enough to still provide a little bit of aero push. And then as they get off the corner here, this is where he would line him up for a little bit of a shot, but looks like he's not going to this time. As they're working the travel here, yeah, he's going to go ahead and just stay patient, stay close, but not necessarily make any contact. And as they get out of the travel, there you go, lines him up. A little bit of a push. Now that push right there specifically is a little offset. Either way, though, it works out because he gets the 19 back clear and himself clear. And now he'll jump up here, waits for some help from the 42 of Kevin Winker. Beverly up the racetrack, side draft for the 19 of Justin Parham. And that might be all he needs to get him back clear here down the super stretch. He's got a really big run. Yes, indeed. That's enough of a push to get the 19 clear. Back to the lead goes Noma Motorsports' Justin Parham. Still a bit of side drafting going on further back. The 45 dipped down to pull a little bit of air. I guess I should say pour a little bit of air on the spoiler of Joe Yakes. And it may not be as effective back there, but up front here, for some of these leaders, Kevin Winker and company, the idea, and you know, I think it's kind of early and everybody just wants to make sure they give each other space, but I think if we get late into this race, kind of that friendliness of leaving each other room starts to go away, and this top lane is going to really start to clamp down on the bottom and try to make sure they don't have any room to push them up to get as much of a side draft as they can. Still 2x2 down the Daytona super stretch. Justin Parham leads the way. It's been a really tight battle between him, Haas Beverly, and Kevin Winker for quite a bit of the night, at least since Kenneth Redinger had gotten turned. And, well, not turned, but, well, yeah, he did get turned, but I was going to say either way, involved in that last wreck. Now, he is starting to make his way back to the front here. And what else is interesting is the man that he's starting to head towards the front with, Joey Hickox, who right now is not on the same, quite the same strategy as Redinger, or didn't have the same issue at least. He's trying to get back towards the front with him, though, and I was keeping an eye on these two, and you can actually see it on your scoring tower there as it scrolls by. They're both still a lap down, so them going to the front here is to try to get that lap back the hard way, which, as it would work out, if the caution came out with when one of them were in the lead, it would get the other teammate the lap back without having to worry about fighting for that lucky dog position. Still 2x2 up front. I mean, again, still no third lane has had the chance to develop yet. I mean, nobody's really been committed enough to try to go out there and make anything happen, but either way, if you're going to go out there late in the race, I would think you'd want to have some practice with it right now. And we've still got a little bit of ways until that first and potentially last green flag pit stop. If you're trying to make this race on a one stop, you're going to have to make it to probably at least, I would say, lap 60, or no, lap 70, excuse me. And if you're going to make it on a two stop, then I want to go to at least lap 50. But we'll see what everybody decides to do here, who pits with who. We'll see if it's more of a manufacturer and teammate type pit sequence, or if it's just pitting with guys that you trust, or maybe everybody pits as one big group. Whichever way they decide to do it, you know that things could potentially get a little bit dicey in the process. But up front, even though they stay 2x2, still seeing plenty of lead changes, and all of a sudden, earlier it seemed like the inside had it figured out. Now it seems like the outside has it figured out. As Kevin Winker is going to get clear, he'll pull Bill Hales with him. Mark Beverly not quite clear yet. We'll see if these two go to the inside. Oh, man, Mark Beverly, some contact there between him and Justin Parham coming off of turn number 4. They sorted out. As you saw, Bill Hales, he jumped to the inside of the racetrack. 40 of 110 laps complete now, and they are still going at it up front. Further back, they single file out just a little bit, as Eric Hegdahl is part of this group that is just taking it easy for now, as is Colton Hardy. And so that now leaves us with 71 laps to go here at the World Center of Racing. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stick with us at Daytona.
played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Just before we came back from break, you saw exactly what happened on the nonstop camera right there. Second caution of the night. First incident that Kevin Winker has been involved in here, as he was running up front with a really good run going for him, but things all took a pretty big turn here just before we came back live, as it looked like there was some contact here between the middle and the bottom lane. Watch Joe Yates in the 87, then on the bottom here, that's the 27 of Matthew Fritz, as I have an idea that there might have been some contact between these two, or at least in that general vicinity. So we'll go first here to the zoomed-in view, and watch his... Actually, I take that back. We're going to go back to the TV3. Joe Yates is in the middle. They're three wide, and just 27. I'm not sure if he gets just slightly loose, what happens, but you see he gets down on that apron, and Talladega, you maybe get away with that. Here at Daytona, where that transition is abrupt and it is a flat apron, when he gets down, Splitter hits the apron, shoots the car back up, and when you're three wide, not a lot of room. He gets into Joe Yates and Kevin Winker. Winker gets turned around here, and boy, let me tell you, this could have been a whole lot worse than it was. A couple of big hits here. First one was for Joe Yates, who's going to get spun down the racetrack, and unfortunately for Michael Newman, leaves nowhere to go. He makes some contact. David Traylor sneaks through this one, and then as he goes up, gets in again Beverly, and then the 94 of Jonathan Dominics. You see Michael Newman, he slides back up the racetrack here as well. Nowhere to go, takes a pretty good hit off the outside wall. But man, for where that wreck happened at, I thought it was going to collect a whole bunch more, but thankfully it didn't. And I believe all the drivers that were involved do still have that fast repair if they were to need it, although I don't know if they necessarily will after that one here. This is the view from the spectator stand. They all piled them up over in turn 3 and 4. And there's that secondary impact from Michael Newman. Well, David Traylor, he's got something figured out here, because it looked like for the most part he snuck through this one. And I don't know how, with where it kind of happened at in regards to where he was running. Watch this view for the 54. Spins down the racetrack, checks up, gets low, sees another car spinning, shoots the gap through the middle. Now he goes low again. I mean, that was an incredible job to miss that wreck for David Traylor. So he'll live to fight another day. Give another view of this here from some of the further back contact here. More so for Michael Newman, who probably got either the worst or second worst of this one, as he's just not really going to have anywhere to go. There's the hit, there's the second hit, there's the third one. All to the front of that race car, which at some tracks maybe he gets away with, especially if it's a short track. But here at Daytona, where we know just how important the aero of that race car is, any damage is going to have pretty big impact, so wouldn't be too shocked if he tries to bring it down here and maybe get a couple repairs on this car. All right, one more look at it here from the Turn 3 wall cam. And then there's the hit for Mark Beverly as well, who you saw kind of scrape along that outside wall. I think overall, though, he should be okay. As the field goes by, there's David Traylor, Joe Yakes. You see the damage to his rear end as well. And so as we go back live, looks like Kevin Winker, at least for now, has not chosen to use that fast repair. He's okay with staying out, and that's not a bad idea. I mean, if the car can still hang with the pack, then I agree. It's almost like save that fast repair for later in case you actually need it. But if you have damage to where it's kind of struggling to stick with the pack, that's where, for me, you know, at least whenever I'm in these cars driving, it's a tough decision to want to just stay out. But we'll see what everybody decides to do here. Joe Yakes, at least currently being scored, still sitting in the pits along with Charles Van Schaik. And it's only 46 again of 110 complete, so we are not even to the halfway point in this race just yet. In fact, we're going to be, looks like about 9 away once we take the green. And there are no more stage breaks scheduled here. However, this is the second caution that we've seen in the final stage so far, and this does push that fuel window to a little bit of a different strategy yet again, because it's still a one-stop. But you figure, again, you can make it about 38 to 40 laps. 40 if you're really saving. You make it to right around 84, 85, and then from there, you should be able to make it to the finish without having to worry about saving any here on this run or the next one. So for the 19 of Parham, he's been up here most of the night, but Jonathan Herbert, he's been working to get to this point. And now that he's got positioning, question is going to be, what can he do with it? His lights are off again, so we are going back green. A couple of the guys that are just now working out of pits catching the field is David Traylor. Looks like, again, going to start in the back here. I wonder if he's trying the strategy here tonight of just staying in the back and not getting into any trouble. By the way, just before we go back green here, with the new season of Asphalt Outlaws Racing, again, do want to thank everybody that helped make this happen, from league admins to the sponsors that help make it possible for these drivers to come out here and race each and every week, and the prizes they put up. As always, and last season, the winning bid, they are back, of course, the sponsor of this race with the winning bid $275. And for any of your NASCAR diecast sales, card breaks, auction needs, make sure you check them out. How about Muehlberger Custom Homes joining for this season along with QH Design? Again, big thanks to all them for helping support these guys to put it on. Certainly glad to be back broadcasting these guys this season as well. All right, so here we go. Lights are off on the truck. Going to make the left turn this time down to the pits. And we will get ready to try to see if we can go on a long green flag run. We haven't had one just yet, but still plenty of a ways to go in this race. Green flag is back in the air. Back to the gears we go. And it's a good restart this time for the 19 of Justin Parham. He's going to get just about clear. But now the 88 of Herbert actually going to get a little bit of side draft there right on the start. And that brings him back to even as they rocket off towards turn number 1. Haas Beverly, along with the 4 of Jesse Calloway in row 2. Bill Hales and Matthew Fritz in row number 3. And we've seen a couple big movers here tonight. Herbert's up 17th from where he started. But how about, I was looking at the 52 here, and the job he's done, that's Roger Strickland. He's up 8 positions from where he started this race at, as Colton Hardy currently in 8th, Tyler Beverly in 9th. Those two are up 14 and 17 positions respectively from where they started this race at. Still side by side up front. The only 2 incidents we've really seen so far tonight haven't necessarily been as a result of racing too hard or anybody doing anything stupid. It's just been kind of natural racing incidents that we see here at a track like Daytona, or really any super speedway for that matter. And you saw right there that Haas Beverly was pushed on the back of Herbert just as they were getting ready to enter the trial. And the back end of that race car, it started wiggling around, and I'm sure that was a pretty big and scary moment there for Jonathan Herbert as he had to catch that car down the short chute into turn number 1. But this is still very interesting to me that this inside is maintaining this well with that little help. And I guess I should say that both lanes, neither one really for that matter, is organized at the moment. But as it stands, the outside with a little bit better organization should be able to get clear here, but they can't do it. Jonathan Herbert still stuck side by side with Justin Parham, as the 4 of Jesse Calloway is not going to let it happen. Bill Hales minding the gap right now. As, we're going to have another wreck up front. 2 around into the inside wall. Big hit for the 19 of Justin Parham. Will he slide back onto the racing surface? He's going to let it roll, and he's going to let it roll right back onto the track. Now he stops. Hopefully we don't get a caution here. Well, we do. And I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm hoping that didn't come out after the 19 kind of rolled back onto the racetrack and just decided to park it there, but either way, We are under caution. And yeah, that was a, looks like that was, at least from the data I can see in the UI, that was indeed an iRacing thrown caution, so that's not a great look there for the 19 right at the end of it. But let's go back, take a look at what sparked it all, and then go back and look at exactly what brought out the caution itself. So this is coming off of turn 4. It's going to be the 19 of Justin Parham, the first car that gets involved. And if we go all the way back here, watch Justin Parham in the 19 as they come off the corner here. I'm assuming he's just getting pushed, and that's where the car has a tendency to kind of unload, and before it kind of reloads once it gets onto the full straightaway, as it comes off the banking here, it's just loose. And in this case here, it's the top lane though. The top lane is where it starts. The 22 of Haas Beverly is actually the one trying to do some pushing coming off the corner here, and he just clips the 88 of Jonathan Herbert in the left rear as he tries to line back up behind him. That sends him down into the 19, and for Parham here, there's nothing you can do at this point as a driver. That wall comes up quick, and man, that's a huge hit. You can see it shoot that car right back out, and initially here looked like he was going to be okay right there. He's okay, but it seems like he just kind of lets it roll, and then once he finally hits the brakes, I mean, he's already on the racetrack and brings out the caution at that point, so you know, I mean, I guess there's always things we don't know. The hope here would be that the 19 maybe just didn't have brakes, although, again, we did see him stop once he got on the track, but definitely one of those things that's a little frustrating there for all drivers involved, all parties. Is the 4, though, of Jesse Calloway. It looked like he actually saved that race car, so that's a nice job by Jesse Calloway here, is make sure nobody else got involved. No, they did not. So it ends up actually only being a wreck that affects the 19 of Justin Parham. And so he's going to have to go in, take that fast repair, which looks like he had to pay the tow bill. So that's going to cost him probably at least a lap, if not a little bit more. Give you a couple more views of this here. First one from the zoomed-in view. And there's the initial contact, and then watch this in full speed. Big hit for the 19. And locking it down doesn't really do much at that point, as I'll show you the cockpit view where it gets to a certain degree, and actually this will be a good view too to look at kind of that little bit of a secondary part of the incident. As there's the turn, locks it down. Bam, big contact. Spins around, spins around, spins around. Now he lets it roll and just rolls right back up onto the racetrack before he stops. So caution does come out. It's the 4th one of the night. And now with just 51 of 110 laps complete, Tyler Beverly going to go to the point for the first time here tonight. Bill Hales in 2nd. Roger Strickland 3rd. Michael Newman in 4th. Brody Benty in 5th. Clinton Woodby 6th. David Traylor in 7th. Dylan Pauls in 8th. Colton Hardy 9th. And Matthew Fritz rounding out your top 10. All right, well, while we are under caution, it's a long race, so make sure that you take a break with us. We'll be right back for the restart.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. The winning bid, $275, getting ready to get back underway. 53 of 110 laps complete. Green flag is back in the air for... Oh, checking up out back. Oh, man, this is going to be a mess here. Can they all find a way to dodge and weave out of this one? Looks like they do, but, man, that was a close call. And I think the only reason they didn't wreck right there was because the 24 of Rick LePage completely jumped that line, which allowed that stack up to not be quite as bad as it looked like it was going to be. But, man, things starting to get a little bit chaotic here and just slightly messy in the middle portions of this race. Again, we're about 2 laps away from the halfway point. But up front, you wouldn't know it because they have continued to dice things up here. 2x2 down the super stretch. Bill Hales looking to lead his first lap of the night. He'll get clear. We'll see if he decides to jump to the inside. Nothing doing just yet. Now Michael Newman gets a little high. Almost tagged the outside wall there going into 3. And uh-oh, Bill Hales got to be careful here. Looked like he was clear briefly, didn't take it. Michael Newman thought about splitting, but thinks better of it. Now jumps back in line. Here comes the 45 of Tyler Beverly. Drag race to the line. That lap does go to the 53 of Bill Hales. The 52 of Roger Strickland has now made his way back up towards the front of the field. David Traylor in the 54. This is the highest that he's ran so far here tonight. He's up 8 spots from where he started this race at. And again, I was sitting here kind of asking myself, wondering if maybe the 54 was just waiting to let these guys kind of get a few wrecks out of their system, and that may have very well been the case, as we've already seen a couple of, I don't want to call them the big one just yet, but we've seen a few medium ones as man, up front, another really close push that almost went wrong on the outside there for Bill Hales and Michael Newman. And a couple of the Turn 4 racing drivers that have now made their way to the front. Rick LePage was up here, but after that restart issue, got sent all the way to the back of this train, and now he's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to catch back up. 55 of 110 laps complete. By the way, if you missed the Clash last week, what a great race that you missed out on. Clinton Woodby was your race winner, so he received a little bit of a extra bonus in terms of cash, which basically covers the season fees. So he's already kind of playing with house money, and there is a payout on the line for this race here tonight, strictly to the winner. But, I mean, hey, money's money, and what it is here tonight is whoever wins this race is going to take home $25. Again, pretty close to getting your season fees paid for. And I know that there's a lot of races throughout the season that will have a prize payout to the winner. Well, we are now officially halfway through this 275-mile event, but still one green flag pit stop expected. The big question is, can we get to it? If we can get to lap 70, that's when that window opens. And if we get a caution anytime after lap 70, then I think everybody will be good to go on fuel for the rest of the way. And, of course, that would take away any opportunity for a green flag pit stop here tonight. Further back, some of the Noma Motorsports drivers trying to get back towards the front. So right there, the 27 of Matthew Fritz, right now the highest running of the group. And they've got the 19, the 31, and the 20. That's Justin Parham, Kenneth Redinger, and Joey Hickox all lined up here further back, trying to get back towards the front. 77 of Michael Miller behind Rick LePage. The 87 of Joe Yates is back there as well. And Joe Yates, a driver who's maybe not necessarily known as much as being a super speedway specialist, but boy, he was a very dangerous driver last season, especially as we got into the middle and late portions of the regular season, where it seemed like something clicked for that 87. After coming so close at Old Atlanta but losing to Isaac Smallwood, he flipped a switch, and man, once he found victory lane the first time, you could just tell that a whole bunch of confidence was gained, and the 87 had a phenomenal season from that point forward, which included making the championship 5. That's another interesting thing, which we'll talk about here a little bit later in the broadcast before this race is all said and done here tonight, but as the format of the season and the schedule now, we still got a long ways to go. In fact, their season goes all the way till about March, with a race just about each and every week. So a lot of opportunities for drivers to make the playoffs, but that championship 5 made a big difference, as one extra driver making the championship made for a phenomenal season finale at Kansas Motor Speedway last season, as we'll hope to see more of the same this year. 45 of Tyler Beverly still leads the bottom. Him in the 52, though, They have not been doing nearly as much pushing as Michael Newman and Bill Hales have, and you can tell the 12 is clear here. We'll see if he maybe jumps down. Nope, not going to do it. And so now that allows the 45 to pull back even. And so all of a sudden, the top lane's starting to look like the Pied Piper here at Daytona, with everybody that wants to go to the front going to that top groove. We'll see how long everybody stays there still. 2 by 2. The 45 of Beverly gets another shot. That time gets a little sideways, but look at the momentum it generates. He gets back even with the leader that time before they got to turn number 3. And still side by side by side, all the way back to about the 20th to mid-20 place positions. And then you've got the 22 of Haas Beverly leading the single file line that's formed up here with Mark Beverly second in that line. Jesse Calloway, he's in 19th right now. Rick LePage 21st. Joe Yates 22nd, Charles Van Schaik 23rd, Keith Prince 24th, so on and so forth for the rest of what right now is just under a 30-car lead pack here at Daytona. Well, Bill Hales talked about he's no stranger to winning here at Daytona, and he's already got the job done before. The question is, can he get the job done again here tonight? I know that him and Kevin Winker have had pretty good success working together before, but right now it's not him and Kevin Winker, it's him and Michael Newman. And you can see that Bill Hales, one of the Turn 4 racing drivers. Michael Newman, one of the DIRL drivers. So we'll see how good that duo works together here. And more importantly, how long do they stick together before maybe one makes a move on the other. Still have yet to see a third lane be generated to the point of success here tonight. We've seen a couple of times where there's been maybe 1 or 2 drivers briefly get in that third lane, and then it's either just dissipated or we've had a massive wreck. And so we certainly haven't had an opportunity to really see just how valuable it is. And if you remember back to what the track temp started out when this race started and to what it is now, it's the exact same. The only difference now is we are fully into nighttime, as it is about 7:30 in the sim time. And you can tell now that with the track completely shaded, the lights are on, and it's just something about racing at night here at Daytona. The action always seems to pick up, the intensity goes up, and everybody seeks opportunity to be crowned a winner at the World Center of Racing. Again, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the season opener for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series here at Daytona International Speedway. The winning bid, $275. And up front, now Clinton Woodby is going to take a peek for the first time here tonight as the 92 will go to the point on the inside. And this gives Tyler Beverly a chance to get used to pushing. There's not much you have to really, boxes if you will, that you need to check here at a track like Daytona before you get to the end of the race. But I would say 2 of them is try to get a lap led and try to get a couple laps where you're able to push a guy, because those are 2 of the key ingredients to winning this race at the end. You got to be able to lead, and you got to be able to push. And ooh, speaking of push, the 52 got pushed right out of line there further back. That was a close call. As going to the back now, Roger Strickland. He stayed on the apron here. I don't know about that decision. The 52, that's going to cost him the pack here, as he's going to keep it on the apron here. We'll see if he had a bigger issue. I wouldn't think he blew the motor. Yeah, no, he didn't. He'll merge back onto the racetrack here. Sometimes that's a concern when you see a driver dip below the apron like that and not come back up, is that maybe they blew the motor in the middle of the pack, but he did not, so just had a brief issue, and unfortunately, though, he is going to lose the pack, so he'll need a caution here to catch it back up. The 53 of Bill Hales, along with the 12 of Michael Newman, still tandemed up on the outside. The 92 of Woodby and the 45 of Tyler Beverly tandemed up on the inside. 50 actually make it at this point right now as we stand. Going to be 48 laps to go when they cross the line this next time, so not the crunch time yet, but drivers can certainly start to feel that with us being in the declining half of this race, it might be time to start thinking about working up that track position. Again, it's okay to stay at the back early, but when you have a pack this big, you can't just get straight to the front unless you have a group of guys that all want to go 3 wide and you can get to the front uninterrupted, but chances of that happening are pretty small, so the next best thing to do is try to pick off this track position slowly throughout the course of a run. And, we're going to have another green flag stop, so maybe get half of it now and then make that green flag stop. And then once we come out from the pits, you'll already be in good position to try to go up there and fight for a win. And, I know that drivers have the whole season to try to fight for a win, but I mentioned it already a couple times. Winning at Daytona is not like winning at any other racetrack. I mean, it puts you down in a category that not a lot of drivers are in for winning at one of the most historic and hardest to win tracks in the circuit and in the sport. And so if you're a guy like Bill Hales who's done it before, you know the feeling. If you're a guy like Clinton Woodby, boy, would you like to see if you can know what it feels like at the end of this one. 64 of 110 laps now complete. By the way, how about all the different teams that we have sporting so far this season? We've already talked about a lot of the different drivers, but in terms of the actual teams themselves, Go ahead and list them off to you here just real quick. And so, a couple new teams, a couple of returners, Loose Lug Nuts, along with White Knuckle Racing, Noma Motorsports, one of the newer teams developed this season. And then you have the Asphalt Outlaws, along with the Bandit Boys, and then Dialed In Racing League, DIRL. And then last but certainly not least, Turn 4 Racing, which again, some new drivers from what they may have had last season. All very strong teams with very strong drivers, and all know how important it is to work together as a team here at the Super Speedways. 65 of 110 laps complete now. As each lap goes by, the intensity slowly starts to pick up, and right now we are just about 5 to 6 laps away from opening up that fuel window for drivers to be good all the way to the finish. However, it doesn't mean I think we'll see anybody necessarily pit at that point. The question does become, how late do you wait? Do you come once we hit around the lap 100 mark? Do you come a little bit sooner? Everybody's got a preference. We'll see who decides to do what. Big push on the outside, though. Look at this. Is it enough to get Bill Hales clear right here? Not quite. Doesn't look like it. Well, actually, it does, but he chooses not to take it. Michael Newman trying to get clear as well, and I'm shocked that these two have still not chosen to drop to the bottom. Shows you that they must feel really, really comfortable right now staying at the top of the racetrack. And the longer they stay up here, you wonder if maybe the inside gets something figured out. But once we get closer to pit stops, we'll see who lets who down here. But if you're on that outside, you're going to have to find a spot on the inside before you do indeed come into the pits. Saw a couple of sparks right there. I think that was out of the 45, as he may have just briefly brushed the apron there getting into the corner. And you're seeing everybody start to dance around a little bit more now, at least in the main portions of this pack, showing you that those tires are starting to wear out. People are starting to struggle here just a little bit. Looking out the rear here for Eric Hegdahl in the number 11. What a season he had last year. Another driver that made it to the Championship 5. And he's got a new color scheme on board this 11 car this season. Again, last year in the trucks, he had more of a Red Bull scheme. And so for Eric Hegdahl, had to change teams this season as well, but picked up a lot of good drivers to work with, as he currently sits on the outside of the 94 of Jonathan Dominics. The 22 Haas Beverly sits there as well. And this outside still holding very, very strong. Clinton Woodby, even for now, but the 45 has not been able to get back up to the back bumper of Clinton Woodby just yet. As they remain 2x2, you can see a couple of the Noma Motorsports drivers now jumping to the outside further back. They might think about coming to the front. Mark Beverly's back here as well. See the 4 of Jesse Calloway, the 87 there of Joe Yakes. By the way, that was the 00 who we just looked at briefly, as it looks like still sitting in the pits. May have returned to the race, although at this point certainly not really running for much more than just trying to have some fun out here if he were to come back out on track. And so with 68 of 110 laps now complete, we are getting just a few laps away from making it to that fuel window where if you want to make a pit stop, you could be good to go the rest of the way. So before we get there, before I think at least that we'll see those pit stops, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stick with us at Daytona.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagel's Talladega.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Before we go back to full screen, I did want to mention what the upcoming schedule is looking like for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing, Xfinity Series. So without further ado, next week we head to Nashville Super Speedway, followed by Chicagoland Speedway. Then it's on to Phoenix to wrap up September. And then Road America, first road course of the season to kick off October, followed by Rockingham. Then it's off to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. After that, we head to the Big Bad Talladega Super Speedway, followed by the only short track, actually not the only short track, but the first short track of the season, Iowa Speedway. Charlotte, Worldwide Technology, Milwaukee Mile round out November. And then to kick off December, we head to Old Atlanta, followed by Michigan International Speedway. And then it's off to Texas before we head to Christmas break. All right, so as we go back to full screen now, not much has changed since we took our last break. Again, there is our three drivers with the driver cams in the bottom right. And a couple of them are now running closer and closer to the front of this field. Clinton Woodby leads. And so right now you can see him in the top left of those three. David Traylor currently runs back in the 11th position. And then Colton Hardy runs just a few spots behind Traylor. He currently sits in 13th. And so we talked about that fuel window opening up right around lap 70. If we get a caution at any point from this moment on, drivers are good to go on fuel all the way to at least the finish of regulation. Question's going to be, do they have enough for overtimes? Now, if we get to, I would say if we get to about lap 80, then everybody's going to be good to go the entirety of the way. And at that point, then we start thinking about the possibility of seeing this green flag stop. I mean, again, it's a tough choice on when do you wait to go, because you figure we went back green somewhere with just over 50 laps complete, so they can probably make it to right around lap 90, would be my general guess, maybe give or take a few. And so if you go in at that point, you're going to need 20 laps worth of fuel. That might be enough time to take 2 tires. Definitely not going to be enough to take 4 if you don't want to lose track position. But in terms of the racing up front, no lead changes. Everybody's still very conservative and content to keep it 2x2. As we go further back, things start to single file out around that 12th position of David Traylor, with Colton Hardy 13th, Jonathan Dominickson 14th, Eric Hegdahl 15th. And you've got Haas Beverly in 16th, Mark Beverly 17th, Jesse Calloway back in 18th with Joe Yakes in 19th, Charles Van Schaik in 20th, Keith Prince 21st, Kenneth Redinger 22nd, Joey Hickox in 23rd, Rick LePage 24th, and Roger Strickland rounding out the field. He sits in 25th, and he is in desperate need of a caution with the way things stand right now. And again, if you're just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. One of the big changes for this season, which I know we mentioned already, but I do want to note again, is that we switched to the Xfinity cars, and the race lengths are a bit longer, and a lot of drivers, that's what they wanted. They said, forget the trucks, let's head over to the Xfinity cars and make the race a little longer, where we can maybe see a little bit more strategy come into play. And now, we don't see that quite, work as well at a track like Daytona, but I think the idea overall is a good idea, and certainly looking forward to some of the racing that we're going to get as this season goes on with this car, this package. As, Kevin Winker ducks that line briefly. Did the 42 have an issue there? Doesn't look like it there. Maybe just had to back off to cool down. Not sure, but that's a big gap between him and the 45 now is up top. Matthew Fritz, not much help behind him either. I'm not sure if this is a product of certain guys trying to drop to the bottom. No, in fact, Kevin Winker doing the opposite. He's going to move to the top of the racetrack right here. And that leaves Woodby and Beverly all by themselves as they wait from help right now from the 10 of Dylan Paz. Dylan with a great run going. He is now up 18 positions from where he started this race at. That's one of the white knuckle racing drivers Boy, he picked up some strong teammates himself this season. The guys that he's going to get to work with, one of those being last season's champion, David Traylor. And those two really close right now. Watch for them to work together as 3 wide as they go around the lapper right here. That's the 52 again of Roger Strickland. No issues there. Everybody else looks like they're going to get around relatively clean here. And they all indeed do fire out of the pipes, as this did mix the field up just a little bit. And the racing up front now going to get a little chaotic as more drivers now start to bail from the top and take it down to the bottom. Coming up on lap 80 here in just a few laps. How about a little crank it up here at the World Center of Racing? Here we go. All right, and that'll do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. I hope everybody did enjoy. 80 of 110 laps complete as we start to slowly now get to the final stretch of this race. Once we cross the line next time, it'll be 30 laps to go. As again, we are now well inside of that fuel window for drivers to make it to the finish once they make this final pit stop. It's just a question of, can we get to it, and at what point do drivers make that stop? Just as we thought we saw them all trying to line up on the bottom, we've still got quite a few, a handful at least, that are still stuck up top right now, and we know that you can't really make a pit stop here from the top lane. So for Bill Hales, Michael Miller, the 12 of Michael Newman, they're going to have to start thinking about what they want to do. Is here we go, first round of pit stops further back. It's going to be, looks like quite a few drivers here. There's at least a handful, maybe a couple more are going to all peel off. Do they all get in clean? Yes, they do. What an execution from Brody Benty, Tyler Beverly. Looks like we got a few more in here. Kevin Winker, Mark Beverly. I think that's Haas Beverly as well. The 4, Jesse Calloway. The 87 of Joe Yakes, all into the pits here. And this should be, again, 2 tires filled up with gas and go. It looks like that's exactly what just about all of them are going to do. Back up front now, I think this is probably going to start to force the hand of everybody else to make that stop. And at this point, not only are you good to make it to the end of regulation, but you'll also be good if we have any overtimes. So as they work off of turn 4 here, let's see, does Bill Hales peel down to the pits? No, he doesn't. In fact, nobody brings it down this time. Maybe that strategy encourages these guys to do the opposite. Maybe they try to stay out as long as they can here and see if they can't run faster laps in that group that already pit. And so now the next question, or I guess stat, if you will, that you got to watch is the different lap times, the different speeds that these groups are running. They're still all trying to get linked together right now. Looks like Tyler Beverly led them out. And so once they get grouped together, it'll be Tyler Beverly, Mark Beverly, Jesse Calloway, Joe Yakes, Kevin Winker. And, well, I don't know. There's some pretty big gaps here between these guys. This is going to be about a 4, maybe a 5-car pack. And that strategy may not have worked out quite as well for them, depending on how long this group stays out, because this front pack, at least right now, they are running faster. We'll see what happens when those 5 are able to get locked up. If they start to maybe turn it around as, going to have a couple of the Noma Motorsports drivers peel off here. Is it going to be the whole team? Yes, it is. For the blue, white, and red Chevy Camaros, all of the Noma Motorsports drivers, the 27 of Fritz, 19 of Parham, 20 of Redinger, and 31 of Joey Hickox will all make their stop here. And that's a good group to go in with just 4 because they know how to work together. The chemistry's there, and they know how to get the job done at these super speedways, so they're going to be really dangerous. And now I ask the question again of, does this force the hand now of the leaders to have to bring the rest of that group in here over the course of the next lap or two? We'll have to find out as we go back up front. They're working their way through turn 3 and 4. Still a couple stuck on the outside. It's Jonathan Herbert and Jonathan Dominics. And let's see here. Do they peel out? Yep, sure enough, a couple are going to peel off the racetrack. And still not everybody, but it's another 4. Clinton Woodby. Looks like Dylan Paws, David Traylor, Colton Hardy, along with the 11 of Eric Hegdahl. So sure enough, we are seeing team split pit stops here. Was wondering if it was going to be that way or if it was just going to be kind of more randomized, but looks like everybody is pitting together with their teammates and on separate laps. So this is going to get really, really interesting with how everything shakes out once they all cycle out and get back up to speed. And it's going to be 25 laps to go, not this next time around, but the time after that. And that is kind of crunch time when you really got to start trying to go forward here. And if you haven't made that final pit stop yet, it might be time to do it, because every lap that you stay out gives everybody else a chance to get organized because they know they won't have to pit. Does anybody else go down this time? No, they don't. Michael Newman will continue to stay out. So does the 53 of Bill Hales, Michael Miller in the 77, Jonathan Dominics, Jonathan Herbert, as well as Keith Prince and Charles Van Schaik. Looks like Rick LePage is the last driver that is tagged on to that lead group for now. Eric Hegdahl trying to get up to speed as he works his way out of the pits, but here comes that big group full of a lot of drivers who have already made a pit stop. Oh, one turn around out back. That was the 27 of Matthew Fritz. Does he hold on to it here? I don't think he does. That was a big hit for the 27 here. I'm trying to find him. Wait, did he? Oh, he might have here. I see some damage to the back right of that race car, but the front end looks to be clean. This would be a heck of a save for Matthew Fritz here if he avoided contact after getting turned around in this one. And let's back it up here and see exactly what went wrong here. He was riding with his teammates. They just came out from a pit stop, and just to check up, 27 gets ran into, gets turned around, and he does save it. I thought for sure he was going to clobber the inside safer barrier, but he holds on. He'll go through the grass there, does a little bit of lawn care, and then he'll get back up to speed as he works his way back onto the apron and then eventually onto the racetrack. Unfortunately, though, that hurts his strategy as he has lost touch with his teammates, and he is most likely going to need a caution to get back out there. All right, so 25 laps to go officially is the lap that everybody is going to finish off their pit sequence here as Bill Hales is in, Keith Prince, Charles Van Schaik, all these drivers that are making their way out. This was the last group to pit, and this is the one that has to be the most curious on, do they come out in front of everybody else that has already pit, or do they potentially lose time? In fact, we'll go to the rear chase view for this so you can see they're working on the apron. They still have to get all the way around before they can really put the hammer down to get up to speed. And if you look for the leaders right now, they are just now working through turn 1 and 2. And yeah, they're not going to be able to run away from anybody as, almost a moment there for Keith Prince. But again, watch this here as they come out. And again, this isn't even the leaders here. This is a couple guys further back. Bill Hales, he might have been okay here to run away. The problem is he doesn't have any help. Nobody to draft with. That pack's going to run him down no matter what he tries. Now, if he would have came out where he runs now with 2 or 3 guys lined up on his bumper, then they may have been in a position to try to pull away. But, I mean, that was a pretty good execution on the pit stops for just about everybody. And as things group back together, we're still going to have a pretty big pack racing for the lead here at Daytona. Probably right around 24, 23 laps to go. And so as they all start to group up further back, this is where the chaos can start too, because when you've got runs, that's when you want to make moves. And sometimes when guys make moves, that's where things can go wrong. Look at this. Colton Hardy, 3 wide, stuck in the middle of one of the Noma Motorsports teammates, and a 12 of Michael Newman. 45 of Tyler Beverly got a little loose as he jumped down. Oh, man. Charles Van Schaik started to drift up. Colton Hardy still threading the needle, but look at all the positions he's picking up right now. Gets by the 53. Now he goes by the 45. Draws alongside the 87, but it looks like he's not going to go any further, at least not yet. And, 2 in the wall. The 45 of Tyler Beverly and the 55 of Mark Beverly. Heavy contact up into the safer barrier. It's not going to bring out a caution, but the 55 is going to lose the pack. And now he's got damage. Still 3 wide now up front. The 20 of Kenneth Redinger getting pushed by the 31 of Joey Hickox. Eric Hegdahl by himself stuck in the middle. And if you're the 11, not much you can do here. He's hoping somebody lets him drop in. And sure enough, the 97 of Colton Hardy, one of his teammates that he pit with, is going to let him do just that. Again, Colton Hardy and Eric Hegdahl, 2 of the white knuckle racing drivers this season. Talked about Eric. Boy, what a pickup that was going to be for a team this year. You know, a lot of guys were going to be trying to get him, but it was White Knuckle Racing that was able to pick him up, and so far it's paying off here tonight as they have all got their drivers in good position, at least at the moment. When they cross the line this next time, it's going to be 22 laps to go from the World Center of Racing. Kevin Winker back to the point now as here we go. Joe Yakes, he's going to jump back to the outside of the racetrack. That'll move Hegdahl up a position. And oh, look at that. Kevin Winker trying to throw a block. Nothing doing. Joe Yakes split him. Nobody goes with him. And now the 87 is up top all by himself. Kevin Winker's getting help right now from two of the Noma Motorsports drivers. Make it three as Justin Parham tags on up front. The four of Jesse Calloway with a big lead. He may be too far out in front. And here comes the runs from out back. Now Kevin Winker is going to drift up just a little bit as he drifts back down. Big push trying to get this 42 clear. Is it enough to make it happen? And not quite. The four is still hanging just close enough. And even if you are Kevin Winker, if you get clear, do you jump down or do you try to stay up for now? That's a tough call to make. I think I would jump down, but Kevin Winker, we know he's one of the best when it comes to super speedway racing, so he's going to kind of be really careful and kind of tread water, if you will, about how he makes this move. And so we'll see what he ends up deciding on. But on the bottom, Jesse Calloway, what a win this would be to him if he could win in the season opener, get the job done here right out of the gate. And look at this. The Noma Motorsports drivers, they're going to split him. Kevin Winker gets stuck in the middle, and he will be going all the way to the back. Joe Yakes is not going to jump out to help him this time. Hegdahl does jump up, though, to help him as, into the wall there. Couldn't tell. I believe that was Justin Parham. Yes, it was. And that's going to cause some disorganization. That's going to kind of kill the momentum that this third lane tried to get going. They're all going to drop back to the outside, try to regroup, and see if they can't try it again. Colton Hardy, by the way, notice a little bit of damage to the rear of that car. Not sure exactly where he got that from, but that could certainly affect him if he gets out in front. Don't think it's going to have any issues, at least not while he's in the draft, but you can see that damage there. Yeah, now that he is out in front, he's going to be a tough driver to push. In fact, he goes up to the third lane here, maybe doing a little bit of blocking, trying to keep control of everybody here at Daytona as we are back to 3x3. The Noma Motorsports group trying to get something going yet again. They had to regroup before they could get back towards the front. But Eric Hegdahl, Colton Hardy still hanging strong, at least for now, in the middle. Only two cars, though. You wonder how long that can last up front. The four of Jesse Calloway continues to lead with help from Bill Hales in the 53. Charles Van Schaik, boy, what a great run he's having so far tonight. In the number 23, SpongeBob Roush Ford Mustang. He's got himself all the way up to third on that inside line. 3 wide, still just 2 in the middle. 3 up top as we now officially are within 20 to go. 19 to go as they crossed the stripe that time. Oh, Joe Yakes gets up. Oh, man, he almost got into the 19 of Parham. That was a really, really close call, as that's going to hurt the momentum just a little bit yet again. Before things get any crazier as they stay 3 wide, we are going to take one final break. We'll be right back for the finish. Stick with us here at Daytona.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it
Welcome back to the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, as we are closing in on the end of the winning bid, 275. 15 laps to go. Out in front is the 97 of Colton Hardy. You see him in the bottom right. And man, for a driver who has came so close at the end of the season last year, how much would this mean to him to kick off this season with a win right out of the gate? And right now he is in front and in great position. He's got a teammate in Eric Hegdahl to his outside, but we continue to see things getting more and more aggressive here. And to be honest, I don't know if they can keep this up for another 14 laps here at this rate. Again, everybody's good to go on fuel. No more pit stops expected, at least not under green, as they go around the 27 of Matthew Fritz, who, if you remember, got turned down just about probably 10 laps or so ago. And so he will follow that down here, maybe try to stick with this pack, though, and see if he can't potentially help his teammates out. The 11 of Eric Hegdahl still on the high side. Joe Yates wiggling around a little bit on the bottom. In fact, that goes for a lot of these drivers. Everybody now starting to get a little bit out of shape, as again, they are on old tires. They only took 2 during that pit stop. And so if you're up front, you're going to have to hold on here for these last 13 and a half laps, because you know that you're going to be getting pushed for all it's worth, as Eric Hegdahl will get clear. Oh, well, boy, he thought about jumping down in front of his teammate, but looks like he thought better of it. And so he'll stay up for now in front of the 4 of Jesse Calloway. Again, only time we've really seen the third lane get working here so far tonight was when the Noma Motorsports drivers tried it, and that didn't exactly work too well. They certainly got some momentum, and now you see them lined up 3 in a row there, as they are actually, it looks like right now, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th cars in that outside lane. Problem is, if they can't get enough momentum generated, that 3rd lane's useless, and with this cool track temp, it's going to be a lot harder to get some momentum working out there. But if they can get the run lined up right, it is certainly still very doable. A couple more lappers, it looks like, in the near future that this whole lead pack in general might get to. But after that, that should be it for any lap traffic that the leaders will have to deal with. And it'll be all about who can get to the checkered flag first. Going to be coming to now just 12 laps to go as they rocket off at turn 4. Colton Hardy goes back to the point as Eric Hegdahl fades briefly. And if you're the 53 of Bill Hales right here, this is kind of a tough spot to be in, because he knows that he needs to try to save some temps in case he gets stuck. But at the same time, he would really like to see if he could push this 97 and himself clear, potentially jump up and make a move to win this race, but it's just not in the cards as it stands right now. And then at the same time, if you're the 11 of Eric Hegdahl, you got to think about, is there a certain point where either this 4 or those Noma Motorsports drivers jump out? You know the Noma Motorsports guys will. It's just a question of when. And in this case, if you're Jesse Calloway, do you stick with the 11, or do you try to maybe throw a block and go with the Noma Motorsports drivers and split that 11? Either way, remember, this race will not be official until we make it to the white flag. That is still going to be 10 laps away when we cross the line this time around. Oh, Colton Hardy getting out of shape. That was a big push from Bill Hales. You saw that 97. His eyes lit up over here on the driver cam, sitting there watching it, as he is really, really holding the wheel right now, trying to make sure that he does not get turned. And that's what it takes to lead, especially win the race here at Daytona. When you're out in front, especially as the race winds down, you know you're going to get a lot of pushing. As Bill Hales, notice what he did right there, jumped up to the middle. That cost that line a lot of momentum, but what he was doing was trying to cool off. Unfortunately, though, look what that's going to do. That allows Eric Hegdahl to get clear, but he doesn't take it. Instead, it's the 4 of Jesse Calloway who jumps down to the inside. He makes the move as they go by a few of the lappers now. And, oh, thought for a minute there was some trouble with one of them there, but it looks like, I guess, they all get by okay. The 33 of John Shileno, he'll try to drop in towards the back of this group. 10 laps to go now. Eric Hegdahl leads the high side. Colton Hardy doing the pushing on the inside as it's Jesse Calloway who leads that bottom. Bill Hale's now back to third. Keith Prince is still up here in the top 10. Noma Motorsports, all they want to do now is try to get this 11 of Eric Hegdahl to jump down. If he does that, that'll put those Noma Motorsports teammates 1, 2, 3, which would be a very dangerous trio to have lined up on the outside line on the final lap of this race. And man, as long of a race it's been so far for all these drivers, the pay window, it's not open just yet. You have got to make sure that you make it all the way to the end to have a chance at this thing. If you wreck yourself out here before we get to the end of the race, it may have all been for nothing. And that's kind of the payoff with these long races, right? If it works out and you make the whole race, it feels good. But at the same time, you run a race, in this case, you've run 250 miles, you get wrecked in the last couple miles of it, man, it can feel so pointless sometimes. So if you're up front here, got to be really careful trying to make moves. And another thing we're going to have to talk about is the risk of blocking. You know that drivers are probably going to try it, but it's one of those things where you kind of try it at your own risk. The general rule of thumb always goes, especially on the last lap, when you know nobody's lifting, if you jump to make a block, you better be ready to get pushed without a lift. And if you can hold on, that's a good block. If you try to make a block and you can't hang on, and it was a bad block. But right now, Eric Hegdahl looks very comfortable up top. The 20 of Kenneth Redinger has not peaked out just yet. Still content with trying to push this 11. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if that group waits until we get to the white flag before they try to make a move. 8 laps to go now as they work their way off the tri-oval. Jesse Calloway looking for his first win. In fact, everybody, of course, looking for their first win this season. But you've got a couple drivers up here looking for their first win in the last couple seasons, Colton Hardy being one of them, as in the 97. He is in a great spot here. If he could just get back clear, you wonder, does Eric Hegdahl maybe burp the throttle just a little bit to try to let his teammate jump up? It doesn't matter even if he tries to, because just not enough momentum. The outside doing a very good job of maintaining as Colton Hardy continues to see if he can push himself in that 4 clear. Nothing doing just yet. It'll be 7 laps to go when they cross the line this time. The intensity continues to ramp up. The heart rates are going up for all these drivers as they go by the lapper of Tyler Beverly. And that'll calm things down again just briefly as the outside now has to go back to work to get the 11 of Eric Hegdahl back even with the 4 of Jesse Calloway. Ooh, brief checkup on the bottom there. Goes all the way back to about David Traylor, Keith Prince, and the 10 of Dylan Pause. And then you look back here to some of these drivers. Clinton Woodby, the 27, Matthew Fritz, who I know is a lap down right now, but I'm more interested in Clinton Woodby, Kevin Winker, Dylan Pause, David Traylor. I mean, you know, at a certain point, they're going to try to make a run to the front. But at what point? I mean, you're running out of laps. We're going to be coming to 6 to go. And if you're not going to make a move, you're going to run yourself out of time eventually. And so as they continue to stay 2x2, at least for the moment, no third lane just yet. Off of turn 4 now. They'll be coming to 6 laps to go at the World Center of Racing. Jesse Calloway still leading the inside. You can see that car getting wiggly every time that Colton Hardy tries to give him a shove. The 11 of Eric Hegdahl has not gotten back clear, and for that 11 car, if he gets clear again, oh, caution is out. It's not going to matter. We got trouble further back. Looks like it's the 24, the 88, and the 77. As that's Rick LePage, Jonathan Herbert, and Michael Miller. Cars that were nowhere near the lead pack, but brought out a caution that is going to send us potentially either into overtime here or a natural green-white checkered, either or. Before we talk about all that, though, let's go back and look at exactly what happens here as they get 3 wide. In fact, they've been running 3 wide here. A little bit of an interesting scenario being this far back, not with the leaders, to kind of be 3 wide, but then 77's trying to hold it in the middle. Haas Beverly starts to come back down, gets into the 77, and I'm not sure if Haas Beverly was just a little bit loose here, or if when the 77 got up a little bit, maybe made some slight contact, Beverly came back down. I think Haas is just kind of trying to hold on to it here. Again, it's tight at Daytona, but when he starts to come back down right here, the 77 may have still been slightly creeping up. Point is, there's contact, and when there is, 77 gets down the track, goes across the nose of the 88, and then as he gets turned around here, he's going to slide back up. 24, nowhere to go. That's a big hit for Rick LePage. Rips the front end, I guess I should say the hood, off of that race car, as he tags Herbert a few more times in the process, trying to get that car slowed up. And then watch this from the cockpit view from Michael Miller here, as back it all the way up. Now watching to turn 3. Oh, just slight contact, and boy, Michael Miller, he tried everything he could to save that car, but unfortunately he just couldn't quite do it. Not sure exactly how bad the damage was, although that second hit right there, the one on the outside wall, may have been the kicker. So that's a tough break right there for Michael Miller, as he's able to roll on. But for him, Jonathan Herbert and Rick LePage certainly looking like this is going to be at least competitive race-ending chance kind of coming to an end for all three of those guys. As here's another look at it. Rick LePage, driver who was behind it all and almost sneaks by, but just not able to. And look at that. Man, just kind of gets wedged into the outside safer barrier. Again, that's a massive, massive hit. And runs back into Jonathan Herbert here a few more times. As at that point, looks like Herbert already had broken suspension. I think LePage does as well. So as we go back live, looks like this will indeed send us to most likely a 2-lap shootout. Yes, it will. It'll be our first, not our first attempt, but our first natural green-white checkered. So before we explain the rules for that, taking a look up front, Jesse Calloway being scored as your leader, Eric Hegdahl second, Colton Hardy in third with Kenneth Redinger back in fourth, Bill Hales is in fifth. Then you've got Joey Hickox in sixth, Keith Prince seventh, Michael Newman eighth, David Traylor ninth, and Joe Yakes currently rounding out your top 10. Well, let's see if we can pull in the driver, the number 4, and see how he's feeling right about now before we get to this restart. Hey, Jesse, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, man, I got you.
Well, here you are. You're leading at the World Center Racing Daytona International Speedway with what's going to be a 2-lap shootout. What's kind of going through your mind right now?
Just hold these guys off. I don't really know, man. I'm not going to do anything too crazy and try to block the top. I think I'm just better off hanging out at the bottom. It's worked pretty well, but given my track record at these super speedways this year, anything can happen, man. So just try to stay up here.
Well, it sounds like a pretty good plan. And, you know, I know you just mentioned that you want to be conservative, but at the same time, you know, it's Daytona International Speedway. A win here tops all other tracks. You know, if we get towards the end here, is there any thought of maybe throwing that block if you had to, or do you just make sure that you do indeed stay consistent and keep it safe here?
I haven't been in this position in a while, so if I have to, I definitely will. I mean, when it comes down to last lap, you know, it's every man for himself. I got my teammate back there, Joe Yakes. I think he's back in 10th or something, so maybe he can get up here and hook up with me. I don't know, but oh yeah, I'll do whatever I got to do.
Well, it's going to be a 2-lap shootout, so it is going to be crazy. Keep it tight down there, and good luck the rest of the way.
I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, there you go, Jesse Calloway. And it's always funny how some of these drivers, and, you know I kind of put the narrative there in the sense of he said he's going to be conservative, and Jesse is that kind of driver where he's not going to make any stupid moves. He knows what's at stake here, but at the same time, it's just, again, it's Daytona, right? I mean, there's so much more on the line if you get a win here. And at the same time, think about it this way. You get a win here, you're good the rest of the season, right? Don't have to worry about getting that win out of the way. So we'll see what he's willing to do here. But Eric Hegdahl, Colton Hardy, those two teammates are still in very good position as well. And then you can't discount what the Noma Motorsports drivers have done as well. They're going to have two of their teammates lined up top here as well. And I think for Eric Hegdahl here, if he gets clear and doesn't drop down, then he's kind of asking to get split, at least if not right then on the last lap by these Noma Motorsports drivers. But we'll have to see how things pan out. Anything can happen here in a 2-lap shootout. And again, we have got to make it at least 1 lap around to get to the white flag to make this race official. If not, we'll rack them up and try again, which will take us into our first green-white checkered attempt. We'll have 3 of those total if we were to need them. Well, if you're just tuning in or you've been tuning in all night, certainly appreciate you being here for the season opener. It's been a good one so far. I'm looking forward to the finish of this race. Who's going to find victory lane here tonight? And then, of course, we'll be back next week with more action for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series. So they will head off to the second track of the season, but it's a little while before we come back to another track similar to Daytona, which, of course, being Talladega. So if you've got an itch for this kind of thing, this is your chance. If not, you may have to wait a little while, and here we go. Off of turn 4. Virtual fans are on their feet. The driver's got the virtual belts pulled tight one last time, and here we go. It's going to be a green-white checkered finish, but a natural one at that. Back into the Geico restart zone we go. Field in the hands of Jesse Calloway and Eric Hegdahl. Engines roar back to life one more time. Here we go. Green flag back in the air at Daytona. and it's a great restart for the 4 of Jesse Calloway. He immediately pulls out to a lead. He's going to stay tucked to the inside for now. You wonder if there's any thought of jumping to the high side here to try to cover the 11. He won't have to, but what this is going to do is allow the 97 to get lined up with his teammate Eric Hegdahl up top. Further back, we almost had some trouble as things started to get stacked up. 3 wide, Michael Newman quickly fading to the back here. He's got no help as we fan it out to the blimp cam. 3 wide out back, 2 wide up front. Now the 3 of Keith Prince Bills. Bill Hales is going to make a move to the middle. David Traylor gets turned. The 54, David Traylor goes through the grass. Do we keep it green? Looks like for now we do. David Traylor's going to hold on. He'll drive back onto the racetrack up front. No issues yet. They are 3 wide and dice it up. Hardy turns Hales. Bill Hales gets into the outside wall. They're going to wreck it up. Caution is out. We will be headed to overtime. And the big one strikes with just 2 laps to go. Clinton Woodby's in it. Talked about the damage there for Bill Hales. I think David Traylor might have got saved by that caution. There's Bill Hales. You can see that right front suspension is destroyed, and the reaction for Colton Hardy says it all. He knows what just happened, and he cannot believe that his chances at this one have come to an end here with just 2 laps to go after everything he did here tonight. But let's go back and look at it. Looked briefly like that wreck may have been sparked by the 97 creeping down just a little bit here. Again, though, when you're 3 wide, things get tight, so we'll have to go back and look at it before we actually make that assessment, if you will. So watch here from the chopper view. So at this point, Bill Hales, he's got his right side tires below that seam. Colton Hardy's got his left side tires kind of riding the white line. And let's see here. Bill Hales still below the seam, still below the seam. Still on the seam, still on the seam. And, yep, unfortunately, Colton Hardy starts to creep down right there. And I don't know if they ever actually touch here. It doesn't look like they do. Colton Hardy's close, getting as much of a side draft as he can, but he never touches him right here. There's just a little bit of right rear neck code that gets that 53 hooked into the 97, and once he does, I mean, nothing you can do there. You know it's going to be big as they both go into the outside wall. Dylan Paws had nowhere to go. And here comes everybody else. Charles Van Schaik. And then Joe Yakes ran into the wall as well. 12 of Michael Newman gets big damage. Clinton Woodby had nowhere to go. It's just kind of a racing incident of everybody going for it here at the end. And for Clinton Woodby there, that was a pretty big hit to the 23 that he gave. Give you a few more angles of this here before we go back live and set up for what is going to most certainly be a pretty crazy overtime attempt number 1 based off what we just saw right here. And I'll tell you what, Bill Hales had been dicing it up to that point. He made a crazy 3 wide move in the middle to get to where he was, and it worked out initially, but unfortunately it just doesn't end quite as well for these guys. And here's one final view of it through the 3 and 4 view. A lot of carnage and chaos here tonight, and you kind of expect it, especially in the closing stages of this race. So as we go back live, that may eliminate a few of them, but up front, Jesse Calloway still being scored as your leader. Kevin Winker second now, Brody Benty third, Joey Hickox fourth, and Eric Hegdahl currently rounding out your top 5. All right, we're going to go take another quick break since we're under caution. We will be back for the restart and overtime attempt number 1. Stick with us here at Daytona.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by 3. Almost no trouble around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where we are heading to overtime attempt number 1 for the winning bid $275. All right, here we go. Pace truck's going to make the left turn potentially for the final time here tonight. On the front row, Jesse Calloway, Kevin Winker. Green flag is back in the air. 2 laps to go at Daytona. And it's a good restart from the 4, but not for the 25 of Brody Benty. Jesse Calloway's going to have to be careful here. He got out in front, but maybe got out too far in front, further back. Boy, Clinton Woodby, somebody jumped the heck out of that restart, or somebody must have missed a shift. I'm not sure what happened, but they are already 3 wide further back, dicing it up in the pack. Remember, they got to make it all the way around here to the white flag to make this race official. Back up front, Calloway on the bottom, getting a push from the 25. Kevin Winker gets split. Up top, here comes the Noma Motorsports drivers. Joey Hickox blinks a little bit, though. That's going to cost them a little bit of momentum. Now Winker gets turned. They're going to wreck again. They're all going to wreck again. Caution is out. And we're going to head to our second overtime, as this is the big one, part 2. So we got a cluster of them. The 53 of Bill Hales is involved in this one again. Joey Hickox in the 31. He's got damage. Man. Well, thought they'd at least make it to turn 3, but fortunately, it just did not happen that time as everybody was going for it. And let's go back, see what happened here. It looked like a push gone wrong in the middle that ended up getting the 42 turned into the 31. Let's go back here, though, and watch this for Kevin Winker as we go first to the chopper view. So watch, he's in the middle right here. And there's the 22 of Haas Beverly, who's trying to give him a push, and looks like Haas hits him pretty square, but whatever the case is, that push just gets the 42 sent to the right, and as soon as it sends him to the right here, I mean, Joey Hickox, nowhere he can go, nowhere Kenneth Redinger can go. They're out there in the 3rd lane, and so as soon as Kevin Winker gets turned towards the right here, he's going to get into the quarter panel of Joey Hickox. In fact, there may have been a little bit of pre-netcode there before the actual contact occurred, but the point is there was going to be contact either way, and once they do touch, the 31 gets turned into the middle of the pack, and Eric Hegdahl nowhere to go. Beverly, he gets pretty good damage in this. Kevin Winker, I think he gets through, I'd say all things considered, relatively unscathed. Certainly could have been a lot worse, but again, just another wreck that collects a lot of different drivers, a lot of good drivers that had a great chance here tonight, but unfortunately not anymore. There's Hegdahl. Another big hit in the grass right there is John Shileno. I think he actually sneaks through for the most part. I don't know how he did that, but not sure as we go to the cockpit view. Gives you another angle of it. All right. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe John Shileno made it through that one. What a piece of driving right there from the number 33. Give you one more angle of this here from TV2. Man, that was a big hit for Hegdahl. That car initially got off the ground, but quickly was able to set back down. And then for Joey Hickox, the other driver that gets the worst end of the stick on this one. So he drifts up, gets tagged again. So now this wreck could potentially end even more nights after the one that we already saw. So we'll look. I want to get one more angle of this here at the turn 3 cam. So that one probably collected all in all at least 5 to 10 of them. We're going to run out of cars for this race if they keep it up, at least at the rate they're going right now. Lights are still on the pace truck, though. Expect them to go off this next time. And so we will try overtime attempt number 2, which, again, same rules apply. Got to make it to the the white flag for this race to be official. Now we can rack them up, and we can try it one last time for our third green, white checkered. If we can't wrap it up in that, then the race will officially be over, as we are now approaching 2 hours since the start of this race, which was back at, again, around 8:25 to 8:30. It was a great race. Still is a great race, but things definitely got a little bit messy here towards the end as everybody's trying to go for it, but hopefully everybody can hold it together here for at least one lap to make this race official. Be able to race it out, but I mean, the 55 of Davenport, at least for now, he's staying out, and that amazes me with the amount of damage he has. See if he chooses to keep it that way, as up front, Jesse Calloway leads, Brody Benty second, Winker third, Beverly fourth, Redinger in fifth. John Shilino now up to 6. He's up 14 from where he started this race at. David Trailers in 7th, Clinton Woodby in 8th, Tyler Beverly's in 9th, and Charles Van Schaik currently rounding out your top 10. All right, lights are off on the pace truck. That means that we are now officially one lap away from going back green for what is going to be, again, overtime attempt number 2 for the winning bid, $275 here at Daytona. The 4, Jesse Calloway, that car still looks clean, as does Brody Benty. The car I'm really concerned about here, and I'm amazed that he's going to restart like this, is Mark Beverly. I mean, look at the damage to the front of this car. There's no way this thing's going to have any speed. Not in front. I don't even think he's going to have it in the draft. I mean, he's got no hood on that race car. And that's going to really, really slow him down here. I would have to think, at least. I guess we'll have to find out, but I would watch for pretty much anybody lined up behind this 55 to just about immediately jump out and try to go around. As I think if you get stuck behind that 55 here, you're going to be kind of like a brick dropped into water, and you're going to sink pretty quick. We'll have to see what happens, though, here is Jesse Calloway. The nerves are still there because he's had a couple chances now here, a couple restarts, and he's got to do it yet again now with Kevin Winker, one of the most aggressive drivers in the field behind him, and if he can get that 4 clear to push him up, he very well might. Now, I felt like Jesse Calloway maybe got a little bit too good of a restart last time. I think maybe we'll see if he tries to back it up or if he does the same thing this time, but I think the idea is you don't want to let Kevin Winker get clear if you don't have to. However, if that outside line doesn't stay really, really close to the inside, then he might have a chance to jump up to the middle, which could pose another problem in of itself. Mark Beverly is going to be the lead pusher right here, so that's a big ask for a car with that much damage. We'll see how things all pan out here as they work through 3 and 4. So we are now, of course, well over the 275-mile limit, as we're going to be approaching probably about 285 with this restart here. And here we go. Pace truck going to make the left turn, and we'll try it again. Overtime attempt number 2 as we work back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. 2 laps to go at Daytona. Oh, and it was a good restart for the outside to be able to match the 4, Jesse Calloway, who looked like may have just either hiccuped or briefly spun the tires just a little bit. And everybody quickly filing to the inside. They want no part of the 55. Mark Beverly, you can already see, struggling heavily to try to keep up and push that 25. Nothing doing though now. The outside fades in a hurry. Kevin Winker with a run. Will he take it, and will the 20 follow? Off of turn 2 and onto the super stretch they go. Who is going to make that move first? Further back, Mark Beverly still pushing Brody Benty. Nobody has tried to jump to that second lane just yet. Now the 45 of Beverly will go. So does David Traylor. When will the 20 of Redinger jump out of line? Through 3 and 4. Can they make it all the way to the white flag here to make this race official? Starter has it in hand, and it looks like they are going to do so. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Daytona. And it's a 3-car tandem trying to pull away from the rest of this pack. Not going to be able to, though. Clinton Woodby, I don't know, though. That car's got a lot of damage. It's starting to make its way back to the front, though, as now here comes 2 of the Noma Motorsports drivers up top. It's Joey Hickox and Justin Parham. And I think Redinger is waiting for those 2 to get a run. Watch for Kevin Winker to throw a huge block. Wrecking out back. Kevin Winker not going to be able to make the move. He stays tucked down low as they continue to wreck onto the apron out back. Michael Newman comes back up. Keith Prince clobbers, and now they're going to wreck up front. Jesse Calloway's going to get turned, and now it puts the Noma Motorsports drivers 1-2 as they lead the inside and the outside. Any momentum here on the outside line might be enough, but there won't be. Does Clinton Woodby look for one more move? He does not. Joey Hickox on the bottom. Kenneth Redinger up top. Drag race to the finish. Joey Hickox wins the season opener at Daytona. And a night that looked like it wasn't going well at all turns into the first victory of the season for the driver of the number 31. What a comeback for Joey Hickox and Noma Motorsports. And what a crazy last lap that we just saw there. Let's back this up and take a look at it. And where everything went wrong over here, which was right before we got to the entry of turn 3. And watch from the blimp cam here. Jesse Calloway, does Kevin Winker try to make a move here? Oh, Calloway goes to block the high side. He tries to cover, but that's kind of the rule I talked about. If you're going to make the block, you know the guy behind doesn't have to lift. And Redinger doesn't lift. The 4 can't quite take the push. Goes into the wall. Down the track, Winker gets turned as well. And then from there, Noma Motorsports able to bring it home relatively unchallenged. And, I mean, for Calloway, it's tough. But, you know, he said he was going to do what he had to do, and he tried. It was a good attempt, but just unfortunately didn't work out in this case. There's a 45 of Beverly getting turned off of 4. David Traylor, they wreck coming to the line here out back. But it's a 1-2 for Noma Motorsports, and Clinton Woodby brings home a podium with a really, really damaged race car. So as they bring it around to celebrate, we'll take a look at the results here real quick. Joey Hickox is your race winner. Kenneth Redinger second. Clinton Woodby in third with John Shalino in fourth. Charles Van Schaik in fifth. Eric Hegdahl sixth. Brody Benty in seventh. David Traylor in eighth. Roger Strickland in ninth. Mark Beverly in 10th. Tyler Beverly finishes 11th. Jesse Calloway in 12th. Keith Prince 13th with Bill Hales in 14th. And you've got Michael Newman in 15th. Haas Beverly in 16th. Kevin Winker finishes in 17th here tonight. Matthew Fritz back in 18th. Rounding out your top 20 is Dylan Paws and Justin Parham. Rick LePage finishes 21st. Jonathan Herbert 22nd. Colton Hardy 23rd. Jonathan Dominick's 24th. Joe Yates 25th. Michael Mueller in 26th. Thomas Melnick finishes the field off tonight in 27th. All right, we're going to go grab your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Daytona. All right, and we're going to start things off tonight with your race winner, the driver, the number 31, Joey Hickox. Joey, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy? We'll give him just a moment here. Hey, Joey, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, buddy, I got you.
Well, I mean, how about it? You get the win at the biggest track of the season, Daytona International Speedway. First off, how you feeling after that overtime finish?
That was nuts, wasn't it? I don't know how we got up there. I mean, we restarted this thing like, 11th or something like that. And 2 laps made it up there. That was pretty good. I got to thank Justin, man. He gave me one heck of a shot coming down the backstretch, and it got me to Kenneth. And I was content just to sit there and ride and see if me and him can finish, 1-2, but in the reverse order. And then I'm not sure what happened there. The 4 come up to block or something. And to be honest with you, I'm not real sure what happened after that. I just know I come out ahead of everybody.
Yeah, it certainly worked out there on the last lap. But, I mean, overall, new team this season with Noma Motorsports, and the chemistry already looks about as good as it could be. You guys worked together a lot here tonight. Can we expect to see this kind of dominance with the 1-2 finish that we had here tonight more often?
Yeah, I mean, everybody on this team, we've been running together for a couple years now. So this is a fun little team we put together for this league, and I think it's going to be a blast. Hope we get that team championship. That's what we're really in here after. So, yeah.
Well, before we let you head out here tonight to celebrate, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, man. Thank you for broadcasting, man. I can't wait to go back and watch this race, especially that ending there. It was a lot of fun on the last lap. I thank my teammates, Justin, Kenneth, and Matt. Jason, who actually couldn't be here tonight. He's the ringleader. He orchestrated this team. Got to thank the admins for putting this league on. This is a lot of fun. My first time actually running this series, so feels good to put him in victory lane. Got to thank my mom, my wife for letting me do this. My mom for watching, sorry. My wife for letting me do it. My son for not yelling too much right now. And all the sponsors that help us put all this stuff together.
Thank you for talking to us. Well, Joey, congrats. You are a winner, and a winner at Daytona. Again, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow night, bud.
That's true. Forgot the Noma Truck Series. Can't forget. We'll see Joey Hickox tomorrow night as well. All right, that'll bring us now to your second place finisher here on the night, and that's another Well, for a minute, I thought it was, yep, sure enough, another one of the Noma Motorsports drivers. It's the number 20 car of Kenneth Redinger. Kenneth, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, you bring home a second-place finish here tonight, but you get to see a teammate go to victory lane. Man, tell us about the chaos that we saw in those last couple laps and how you were able to get back to the front by the end of this race.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of chaos. These cars, you can't touch at all, it seems like, anymore without getting sideways or knocking someone out of the way. I don't know what happened, but that coming down that back straightaway there on the last lap, they threw a block, and I don't know, you throw a block that late, you're gonna get whatever happens at that rate. And I got somebody on my bumper. There's nowhere I can go.
Yeah, well, we certainly saw the way things unfolded there again. Just hard racing on the last lap, but we just had a chance to talk to Joey about some of the dominance here that you guys showed not only tonight, but, I mean, you as an individual, we've seen what you've done over in the Noma Series. How are you looking to see if you can capitalize on this season here in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Series?
Yeah, it's going to be different. Never ran this car in a league format, so really not much in the official races. So it'll be a learning curve, but I think we got a good group of guys here. We're trying to go after the team championship, so we have a good shot here with the group we got.
Well, a great run here tonight. So, hey, before we let you head out to go celebrate with your teammate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Just shout out to the guys putting on this league and my teammates for everyone working together there to get the good finishes.
Thank you for talking to us again, Kenneth. Congrats on the second place finish, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow night.
All right, see you.
All right, now that is going to bring us to your race or third place finisher, and that is Clinton Woodby. Clinton, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man, I got you.
Well, you bring home third with a car that looked like it couldn't even finish the race. I mean, how did you even make it to the end there? It looked like the front end was getting ready to fall off.
Well, kind of shout out to my teammate David. He made a move to the outside there with, I think, 1 to go. And he had nose damage, so he just started dropping, which made me remember that I had nose damage. So I was just content on pushing the bottom, and all hell broke loose on the backstretch, and I just tried to find a hole, and I think I made one. I don't even know if I made it through or moved somebody through. I don't even know what happened.
Well, you got the win last week, and this week you followed up with a podium. How does it feel to have this much momentum going this early in the season?
It's pretty good. I think we've got a lot of good team momentum as well. We led a lot of laps. Colton and Eric was up there at the front. I honestly thought they were just going to control both lines and run it out, but we had started having a caution fest after that. But we'll just keep building on it and go on to the next race, just one at a time.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Clint, before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Blair Peterson with Win a Bid Diecast. Go over there and get all your Diecast NASCAR memorabilia. And a new sponsor this year, All Masami Law Firm. Any law, any advice, whatever, go to them. And QH Design, appreciate them coming on board this year. And my girlfriend Megan, she's my #1 supporter. I usually thank her first, and I forgot.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us, and Clinton, congrats again on the third place finish, and hopefully we'll see you out here next week.
I appreciate it. You have a good night.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up our coverage here tonight. The winning bid 275 did not disappoint. What a finish and what a win for Noma Motorsports' Joey Hickox. He gets the job done here at Daytona. We'll be back next week with more racing in the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Xfinity Series, and tomorrow night, don't forget to tune into the Noma Truck Series. As always, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time, have a good night.